what would you do? So, some companies are mandating, right, that people are vaccinated. Others are saying if you aren't, you have to wear a mask, which provides in a sort of a strange way, cover of darkness for some people who are wearing masks and others don't. In the situation where you do have a mandate and someone does have an exception that's a valuable one or a valid one, how do you deal with that person? You can't let people go for those sort of religious you've never been able to, right? So
wear a mask and be tested.
And so that crosses the line that you mentioned earlier, which is a tough one on information and personal information and confidentiality and so forth.
Yeah. Well, what we did at my company was we first introduced the fact that everybody was getting vaccinated. We then introduced we would like to see people back into the office. And then we decided, because our organization was particularly sensitive to this idea about COVID and being in an environment with other people, we decided everybody would be masked. So there is no delineation between the vaccinated and the unvaccinated. So that is a way around that.
And one point you made was there were some people that left or chose to leave, or and you paid severance. Perhaps it was a pre-existing policy, but that touches on a point: incremental costs. And Gaby, this was part of your webinar as well. I mean, the government says you have to let people have time off to go get vaccinated, but that's not part of their accrued paid time off necessarily. And that's fine if it's one or two employees. But when we start talking about a lot of employees, that can be a significant cost, and that's just one of many costs that companies have had to pick up with cleaning and just how they space out their employees. How does your company deal with analyzing the incremental costs of doing all this?
That's a good question. So I think the way that we have really thought about it is we want to make sure we're an employee-first company, I would say, so we care a lot about the team. We want to make sure that people feel comfortable. We have done a lot, to your point, incremental costs related to cleaning and spacing and just making sure that our environment is as absolutely safe as possible. I think we worry less about the costs because we feel like the benefits of having people together far outweigh what we're spending to get them together. So we haven't, I don't think, had too much worry around that as a company.
And I think, Gaby, you'll talk in a minute a little bit about some of the individual, whether it's performance management, those types of tools. But at the company level, have you changed sort of the company's views on projections and company performance goals and things of that nature to fit more tightly with how this is going to work with people working on site or remotely or with higher costs? How have you looked at the company's performance goals differently in light of the challenges we faced and where we'll be going here in the next 12 to 24
Yeah, I think that's a really good question. So I guess when I think about the company's performance goals, we're right now running to a very important deadline with our biggest customer that's coming up in a few months. So we don't have really the luxury of moving that data around. So it's very much been, and that's a big reason why we wanted to make sure that we had people on site sooner versus later, to make sure that we were able to meet those goals, that we had good cooperation and collaboration, and that we're working on a very complex hardware and software-based system.